Good morning. Good morning. We are, don't want to knock over the computer. We are in week 13. All right. We are in week 13. So, good morning to everyone. Um, YouTube, TikTok, welcome to the space. Give me a moment and we will get started. Got a couple of folks in. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Rhonda. I left my charger. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are in week 13, so I'm going to give it a few minutes for folks to join in. YouTube, if you are watching this on a replay, welcome. This is your global classroom. I am the Pretty Professor, and we focus on the federal government mainly. We mainly focus on the federal government of the United States for this course. This is our global classroom, but we also will look in other times, so not currently, but later, we will also look at some specific states upon request and how those states function in terms of their own state constitutions within the parameters of the United States Constitution. Also looking at legislation that is passing across the nation in state legislatures by state legislators, and the impact that may have on the nation later. Oftentimes, trends that happen in states will soon find themselves, not themselves, but those trends will soon move over and be adopted federally, either through the courts or through some federal legislation. And in the same way they can be adopted, they also could be found to be unconstitutional by the courts and therefore no longer allowed. So if you're on TikTok and you're just joining us and it's your first time, we are streaming simultaneously to TikTok and YouTube. So welcome. Welcome this morning. If you are interested in catching us on YouTube, you can find us at Pretty Petty Politics. You can click the YouTube link here on TikTok on my page, and it will take you to the YouTube. The YouTube is live. Again, it is recording this simultaneously. It's recording it. So if you have to leave this for any reason and you can't be on your device, you can always go to the recording and catch up. And you can review the past 12 weeks of our course as well. So I'm so happy you all are here. Thank you so much. We are in week 13. The semester for us is wrapping up, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited, even though it's bittersweet. I'm excited about it for multiple reasons. One reason is what we've been able to accomplish. I just think it's wonderful what all we have accomplished over the last several months. We started this in January, and just like a regular class, if you were my in-person students or the students I taught at the college, although our course is different from that in many ways, you still accomplished so much. You've stuck with it from week 1 to week 13. We have basically 3 more class sessions to go, and then that will be the end of our semester, 16 weeks. So I just want to thank you all for your commitment, for your interest, and for sharing. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube page, please subscribe. Yeah, I have a personal goal. I want to hit 1,000. I'm at 795, right? But I would love to have 1,000 subscribers, because not just for me, for like gloating, but it sends a message, and it also helps spread information, good information, so that people can continue to learn, families can learn together, communities can take this information almost as an outline and explore it deeper for themselves, so that you can understand how our government should function, how our laws are written, and all that good stuff. All right. So again, hi everyone on TikTok. So if you are not on are not able to stay on TikTok throughout the duration, you can always join us on YouTube. All right. So that is Pretty Petty Politics. Okay. And again, that link is found on my homepage on TikTok. Y'all ready to get started? So do me a favor in the chat, put your favorite emoji in the chat if you're ready to get going, because I am ready to get going. All right. Put your favorite emoji in the chat. So the first thing we're going to discuss, oh yay, I like that, Jazz, those books and stars. I might miss your comments because the TikTok comments go really fast. So if I do, just put it in there again. And then of course I see them immediately and it streams much better, the comments on the YouTube, probably because it's not as many people. So it's not moving as fast, but I also have the ability to scroll easier on YouTube than I can on TikTok. But nevertheless, so the first thing I want to ask is, does everybody have their pen and notebook? Because y'all know you got to take notes in here, right? So make sure you have something to take notes on. All right. The very first thing, because it's a current event, I want to bring your attention to the concept of habeas corpus, HABEAS, habeas corpus, CORPUS. All right. And I'm going to put that on the screen here on YouTube because this is our current event. This is something we want to pay attention to. We're going to discuss how it can impact us. But habeas corpus, all right? HABEAS, habeas corpus, CORPUS, all right? So let's start with corpus, right? Corpus should make you think of a body, not a deceased body, but just a body, similar to corpse. So you think of corpse, you think of a deceased body. But habeas corpus is a legal term, right? And right now, habeas corpus is being challenged and considered for suspension. So we're going to talk about what habeas corpus is first, and then we'll talk about the suspension and how that works. Hi, Nita. So habeas corpus is a legal principle, right? So if you Google it, it'll tell you it's a legal principle. And basically, it's how the law protects individuals from being unlawfully, UNLAWFULLY, unlawfully detained. Okay. And I'm going back camera to camera. All right. So habeas corpus is a legal principle that protects individuals from being unlawfully detained. All right. Or unlawfully placed into detention. All right. Everybody follow me with that? Hopefully so. I want to give me 1 minute. I'm trying to situate. I want to try something. Give me 1 second. All right. It's just with this YouTube camera. TikTok. I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. So habeas corpus is regarding the detention of an individual. You guys, throughout this semester, I've reminded you how important language is. And so when we say individual, we're not saying citizen. And I know for a lot of us, we think the Constitution is only about citizens. For a lot of us, that's how we interpret the Constitution, being only about citizens, but it's not. And it's written in a way that shows that we have laws for citizens, where citizens have certain things, and then we have laws that are for any person, including individuals. Okay? Any person, including individuals who may be accused of something. Those individuals can be citizens or non-citizens. Those people could be here legally on a visa. They could be here illegally. There are certain protections. One of those protections is habeas corpus. All right. So habeas corpus, y'all put that in the chat. Habeas corpus. All right. HABAES corpus, CORPUS, habeas corpus. Put that in the chat for me. All right. Habeas corpus. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Jazz. Habeas corpus, right? So habeas corpus protects individuals from unlawful detention. Unlawful is key here. What makes something unlawful about a detention? Right? Who are we talking about? Who could possibly detain someone unlawfully, right? Because otherwise we're talking about a kidnapping. See, it's a different language, right? But when we're talking about habeas corpus, we're talking about some government party, agency, let me say, some government official, employee, or agency detaining an individual unlawfully. All right. When we're talking about habeas corpus, habeas corpus protects against unlawful detention. But we're going to look at when habeas corpus becomes, like some of y'all probably used to be in middle school, suspended. Hopefully none of us have been. Well, I have been suspended from? I have been suspended from school before. Forgot about that. I didn't forget about it, but it didn't register. That was a suspension. I got suspended one time, kind of, sort of. But anyway, but a suspension. So how could habeas corpus be suspended? When would it be appropriate to suspend habeas corpus, right? Because habeas corpus is a protection. We don't want to take away our protections. So when would it be appropriate to pause, to stop, to suspend, to remove such a protection? Well, the only times that is okay is what we're going to talk about today. All right. We're going to talk about when it is proper to suspend habeas corpus. But before we do, again, we want to look at what habeas corpus is. Habeas corpus operates, and I want you to think that cluster, that bundle of rights. I think I've talked about this, but if not, we'll talk about it today. But I want you to think about a specific group of amendments that create due process. We know 2 amendments mention due process outright, like they literally have it written into the amendments, right? But there are a group of amendments, when bundled together, they make the perfect bouquet of due process. All right. And so here are those amendments. Got your pens ready? Y'all ready? Need to hear it. I hear it. I need to see it. Let me ask this before we go any further. Anybody want to join me on the YouTube live, like on screen? If you want to shoot me an email, because if you're on YouTube, you probably have my email. Shoot me an email and I'll bring you up. I'll send you um I'll send you the entry to join me on YouTube live. I meant to say this at the beginning. Nobody? Okay. I don't see no emails, so I'm gonna keep going. But habeas corpus, let's get into it. We're talking about those amendments. So it's Amendment 4. All right. Amendment 4. What do we know about Amendment 4? What do you go back in your notebooks, your notes from previous classes? What do you know about Amendment 4? So this is early on in the semester when we talked about Amendment 4. What do you know about Amendment 4? What do you know about Amendment 4? Amendment 4 is what? Come on. This is important. Most of y'all at home anyway. You definitely need to know this if you're at home. What is Amendment 4? Talk to me. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Search and seizure. Thank you. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you. Fourth Amendment. Yes. 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 Okay. Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches. Thank you, Jerome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So, Fourth Amendment, I'm going to read it to you. And if you're new here, here go our commercial. This is the first commercial break. If you're new here, please go to our YouTube, Pretty Petty Politics, and under the description on Pretty Petty Politics, after you have subscribed, because we want you to subscribe, there is a link under the description for you to register for this course. Okay. And when you click that, you'll put in your information. Please type your email properly. And once you're registered, I will send emails, and it will include an online Constitution, U.S. Constitution, as well as some documentaries and some other information for the course. It's really important that you have the Constitution readily accessible. And what I have found is oftentimes people will look at what they think is something from the Constitution online, and it's someone's interpretation. And sometimes people's interpretations are incorrect. So I would rather lead you to a very respectable institution that maintains an online database of federal laws, including the U.S. Constitution. And so for that, we use Cornell, like Cornell University. We use law.cornell.edu. We use their Constitution link, and it gives explanations, as well as sometimes it refers to specific cases. So what the Supreme Court has stated or made rulings, but it has the full Constitution there. All right, so Amendment 4 reads as follows: the right of the people to be secure in their persons, corpse, in their person from head to toe, right? Head, shoulders, knee. Okay, y'all got it. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, their houses, their papers, and effects. All right, their houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. So the right of the people to remain secure in those things shall not be violated. Okay, shall not be violated and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, right? So in order to get a warrant, you have to have probable cause, but that probable cause must be supported by oath or affirmation, and it must describe in particularity. All right. So here, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. That's what a warrant must have. It must be, the request must be given under oath and affirmation. That means a judge has to sign the warrant, and it must have particularity. All right. So it has to be, if it says it's to search a red 2025 Honda Accord, it cannot be a 1992 Honda Accord. My favorite Honda Accord is a 1992. But that is very particular. If it says 8711, 8711 Main Street, it can't be 7811 where you go knock the door. So if you go into 7811 and you take people into custody or you seize things, or even if you find some illegal stuff, guess what? Your warrant was not good and all that stuff gonna be thrown out. All right. It has to be particular. All right. So the Fourth Amendment is a due process amendment. All right. Everybody put DP in the chat. DP1. No, don't put DP1. Put DP A4. Due process A4. A4 meaning Amendment 4. Go ahead, put that in the chat. All right. Next, we're going to look at the Fifth Amendment. Okay. The Fifth Amendment creates a whole bunch of rights. Okay. And these rights relate to both criminal law as well as civil law. Okay. The Fifth Amendment. All right. DPA4. All right. DPA4. Very good. Thank you all. So let's go over the Fifth Amendment. I'm going to read it. I didn't quite read the fourth one because I got busy talking, but I'm going to read this one, then I'm going to talk. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases in the land or naval forces or in the militia. Y'all know I like that word, militia. When in actual service in time of war or public danger, semicolon. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, semicolon, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against oneself, it says himself, but oneself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, semicolon, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. That is the Fifth Amendment, ladies and gentlemen. And shout out to the book club, because we just talked about private property being taken for public use. We just talked about that in our book club on Thursday. So for those of you who have joined the book club, you'll remember that from Thursday night. For those of you who have yet to join or that are interested in joining, shoot me an email and say, book club, please, and I will add you to the book club. Okay. We meet again in a couple of weeks. So which will give you time to catch up as well. All right. So we have the Fourth and the Fifth Amendment, right? So now I want you to put A5, DPA5, DPA5, DPA5 in the chat. So you got due process comes through Amendment 4. You have due process that comes through Amendment 5. Okay. We're looking at the due process amendments. Next, oh, my voice cracked. Next, we have the Sixth Amendment. All right. The Sixth Amendment. And so we're going to look at what it says and if it relates to due process. And this time I'm going to have y'all tell me how it does or does not relate to due process. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall, we talked about shall and may, right? Shall and may, they sisters. Shall and may. Okay. The accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, semicolon. All right, that's the first part. The next part is to be confronted with the witnesses against him or them. Okay, semicolon again. To have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his, her, or their favor, comma, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. All right. So, like the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment comes with a bundle. It comes with multiple rights for criminal defendants. We're not calling folks criminals. I know it's real easy to call somebody a criminal, right? Because I do it too. But the criminally accused have rights. So we can think of some current events. Let's look at the unaliving of Officer Henderson in Ohio by the father. I can't think of his name right now, but the father who watched the video of the unaliving of his son by law enforcement. And once he got to his car, he took the life of another officer. Not the officer who killed him, but just another officer, right? And we're not going to get into the emotions and opinions of that whole situation. We're using this only for the constitutional aspect of it, not our personal opinions. We're not judge, jury, won't have a heaven or hell to put them in, right? Just dealing with the constitutionality of it. Constitutionally, Mr. Hinton has the right to those things that I just read because he is criminally accused. He's criminally accused, whether you know he did it or not. He's still accused of doing it, right? All right. And so those protections, he has the right to those protections. Okay, if you feel like it's just the worst thing that someone could ever do, he has the right to those protections. Okay. In all criminal prosecutions. Prosecutions are done by the governments. If it's a federal crime, it's done by the federal prosecutors, meaning the Attorney General's office for whichever state that crime took place. So for that situation, if it were, it's not. But had it been a federal offense, it would have been the federal government through the U.S. Attorney General for the state of Ohio, okay, or in the state of Ohio. The U.S. Attorney General or Assistant Attorney General for that state. Okay. But it's a state crime and it took place in a specific town in a specific county. So that county, this is local government, ladies and gentlemen. So that county prosecutor, that county district attorney's office or state attorney's office, depending on what state you're in. Like in Florida, you have state attorneys. In other states, you have district attorneys, same functionality, right? They represent the state on behalf of the residents of that particular county. And they bring charges, whether through a grand jury or through the DA's office. They bring charges and they prosecute criminally accused individuals. And all criminally accused, right? So in all criminal prosecutions, you have Amendment 6. Okay. You have Amendment 6, and it must be honored. Okay. All of those things that I just listed out in Amendment 6 must be applied, they are applicable. Now, one thing that we have a lot of in our nation throughout, it doesn't matter what state you're in, we have a lot of times DAs will offer some type of what we call a plea deal, PLEA, plea, like pleading, plea deal. So offer a plea, and then that person pleads according to that deal, that offer, right? Plea deals are a way, or let me say this, plea deals are tools used by prosecutors and defense attorneys. Defense attorneys seek them out too, that speed up a case, because this person is usually pleading to either a lesser crime, or it's a deal where if you go ahead and plead now, you'll just get this as your sentence, right? And what it does is it avoids the trial process. You still have to go before a judge, you still get sentencing, but it avoids the trial process. But the Sixth Amendment still stands. All these amendments still stand. If a person does not want to take a plea deal, whether their attorney is telling them, whether the DA is like, you better take the deal, take the deal, take the deal, take the deal, that person still has the right to say no and to go to trial and try out their case in front of a jury, right? But if every person criminally accused refused, just stop taking plea deals, like stopped, do y'all understand the impact that would have on our criminal justice system? Do you understand what that would do to our criminal justice system, which is already overloaded? It would cause, that's a whole nother discussion, but I want you to sit with that. I want you to sit with what would happen. Yes, it would, Springer. I agree. It would stop moving, but for how long? I think it would start moving because certain things would have to take place. All right. But sit with that, because I don't want to go, y'all know I can go way out there now. We can have a whole tangent about something. So I'm going to keep going. And we're still talking about habeas corpus, but I want to talk about these due process rights. Not just in sentencing, Jerome. You wouldn't even get the sentences. There you go, Courtney. Courtney got it. How would speedy trials work then? How are they working now? There are a lot of people who sit in jail, not sentenced, not convicted of anything, only arrested and charged. There are a lot of people who sit in jail right now today that have been there for months without a trial. Take the case of Kalief Browder, Kalief Browder. He was a teenager. He was a child in New York City who spent 3 years in Rikers Island in jail for a crime he did not commit. He spent that time there with no trial. He refused to plead to something that he did not do. So if that can happen already, think about speedy trials. I don't think that the average US citizen or resident of the United States has processed mentally what it means to be accused of a crime and how our criminal justice system actually operates, right? So now you have habeas corpus, unlawfully detaining someone. Springer says, I'm bad at names, but I remember his. Yes, Kalief Browder. All right, so let's go to the next one. I'm going to throw in the 7th Amendment, but we're not really focused on it. It's dealing with civil. So you can look at it. I'm going to go ahead and go to the 8th Amendment so we can stick with those dealing with criminally accused. All right. So the 8th Amendment, this is short. It's short and sweet. It's like the 2nd Amendment, short and sweet. The 8th Amendment reads as follows: excessive bail. This relates back to Kalief Browder because that's the main reason why many people are in jail because of this amendment. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Baby, they was in a bag with this one, but we do not like going into that bag. We hate that bag these days for some reason until it's us. When someone is accused of something, we're like, don't let them out. Don't give them no bond. Why? Are they a threat to society? Or is it because you don't agree with what they did? Are they a threat? Are they a flight risk? Right? If someone's a flight risk, yeah, no bond makes sense. If someone is proven, listen to the word, proven to be a danger to the public, not accused of being a danger, but proven to have been a danger to the public, meaning they've been previously convicted of some violent crime, right? So not somebody who steals. That's not violent, right? Not somebody who just robs. You know, they are just a thief. But someone who's been convicted of, yeah, we can see that. Someone who's been convicted of something violent against people. And that can be a whole bunch of things that are violent. I could see that. Either no bond or a higher bond, meaning bail set at a higher amount. Bail in this country typically means whatever the amount is set at, that a percentage of it must be paid in order for them to be released. So every state is different the way their bail system works. But excessive bail, an example of a current event or a recent event of excessive bail would be the example of Carmelo Anthony with the K, right? Carmelo Anthony, the 17-year-old up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area who is criminally accused of the unaliving of another 17-year-old at a track meet. All right. Staying out of the social and emotional parts of that. Is he a flight risk? He's 17. Is he a flight risk? Is he known? Has he been proven to be violent? No. So why would his bail be set at such an extraordinary amount? Okay. It was what, $1 million or $2 million initially, and then it was reduced to 250,000, which is still that ain't no small piece of change, right? And so $250,000. Let's say 10% has to be put down. That's 25,000. The average American does not even have $400 for a car or household appliance emergency. So just sit with that while we scream about what people should have, because it could be, I'm sure his parents never imagined that they would have to put up that kind of money for anything for their children besides their education or wedding or a down payment on a house. That's any parent. You don't imagine that you got to come up with $25,000 for your child for anything besides probably marriage, a house, or college. All right. So excessive bail. Okay. Cruel and unusual punishment. We can look back at Kalief Browder. That whole situation with him and Rikers Island was definitely giving cruel and unusual punishment. Okay. So let's deal with this bundle of rights this bouquet of rights known as due process, right? Due process. Someone could accuse me of doing something harmful to them or violent towards them, and I could be taken into custody, and my bail could be set at XYZ amount, and all of those things that I just read would need to be afforded to me because I am now criminally accused. All right. But let's say I want to go through this gently. Let's say I was just taken into custody without those things, without my due process, taken into custody and detained because I was believed to have violated something, but I'm just taken into custody unlawfully. I haven't been charged with anything, but I'm taken into custody. All right. That would be unlawful. Okay. That would be unlawful. And I'm thank you, Demi, because I'm trying to tread here. I'm trying to tread. All right. The suspension of habeas corpus. So we have habeas corpus, which is the protection of individuals, right, from unlawful detention. Unlawful detention. Okay, not a kidnapping. That's also a legal term, but we're not talking about a kidnapping. Unlawful detention is talking about the government, through an agency or officers of the government, unlawfully detaining someone, taking them into custody, right? Unlawfully. And we're seeing this play out in the news daily, right? But a suspension of habeas corpus, okay? It is the removal of that legal protection. And the only time that that legal protection of habeas corpus can be or shall be, let's do that, shall be appropriate is if there is some danger, all right, such as a major rebellion or an invasion. So an invasion doesn't mean I came here illegally to have a better life. That's not an invasion. That's called travel. And an invasion would be, just think of places that you know globally that have been invaded by people. Read between the lines, people. Read between the lines, okay? A rebellion or an invasion or would be something like attacking a Capitol building in Washington, D.C., January 6, 2021. That's literally an attack on government. That's where Congress is housed. I mean, quite literally, that's what that is. We called it a what? What is that called? What was that called? Anybody know the proper name for what happened on January 6th? It wasn't called an invasion or a rebellion, but what is the legal term for that? Like, seriously. Because we all watch movies and we've seen things happen. Yes, an insurrection. Thank you, LaBella, and thank you, Rhonda. Y'all did that at the same time. Thank you, Demi. Right? An insurrection. All right. But in cases of rebellion or invasion, that's when habeas corpus should or shall be suspended. It's not happening right now. We're not being invaded unless there's a invasion in the sky and some aliens, or an invasion in the ocean and some aliens gonna rise out of the ocean. We're not being invaded. Although last year, all those things in the sky that people kept spotting, that could, Anyway, so why are we talking about habeas corpus as a current event? Right? We haven't even gotten into the lecture. We're just talking about the current event. This is the opening. So why are we talking about habeas corpus? And why is our government talking about possibly suspending habeas corpus? You know, we're really busy. It's Mother's Day weekend, and shout out to all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day weekend, or those of you who play the role of a mother, happy Mother's Day weekend. But we're busy lifing, enjoying the fruits of our labor. Some of us are just laboring. So we're not really paying attention. But I need you to open your ears and your eyes, because I need your eyes open to read. I need your ears open to hear. Pay attention to the media. We've talked about different media sources to get information from. So it can be mainstream, it can be independent news, what have you. But pay attention to what's happening, what's being pushed, what is being stated around the suspension of habeas corpus. Because if that happens, you have to get ready when you stay ready. Okay? All right. So habeas corpus, though. All right. And so the suspension of habeas corpus is considered by our government. And I just need you all to be aware of that. The reason why I took you down the journey of the due process rights is because if someone's accused of something, those things must be applicable to them. All right. The suspending of habeas corpus would not necessitate the utilization of those rights that I just read to you with amendments 4, 5, 6, and 8. And then, of course, we have the big daddy of them all, the 14th Amendment, when it comes to due process. All right. So if you're just joining us, you got to read the 14th Amendment. Demi says civil rights are being slowly taken away one by one. So people don't like to talk about being asleep and being awakened, and they don't like what that's called. So we won't even use the big W, woke. So stay aware, stay knowledgeable. When you know better, you do better. Okay. All right. Any questions about this? So we can go ahead and move on. And plus, I'm going to stand up. I've been sitting here too long. All right. Anything else? Any questions? That would impact all persons, regardless of your status. That's correct, Valerie. That is correct. Any individual. That's why I want y'all to always remember that 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment starts with citizenship. It does. It literally starts with citizenship, defining it. But then once you get through the first two sections, section 1 of the 14th Amendment, there are 4 clauses. The first clause is citizenship. The second one is immunities and privileges. The third is due process, and the fourth is equal protection. So the first 2 are restricted to only citizens. The last 2 are for everyone. It literally says any person. You have to understand, writers write with intention. So if something is being stated with specificity, it's detailed for that specific reason. And then if they change the language in the next 2 clauses and they say any person instead of saying citizens, then it's very clear that it is intended for any person. Courtney, it wouldn't be no sentencing, baby. It would just be, I got you. It is not about the courts. This is not even through the courts. It's literally taking you into custody. Bye. There is no process. So You're thinking with due process in your questioning. Yeah, so you just disappeared. Y'all ever watch Scandal? Y'all ever watch Scandal? You remember when Mama Pope, what was her name? Remember when Olivia disappeared her mama? She knew where her mama was at. She could go see her mama, but she disappeared her mama. Just think that, but the government doing it. And not in those type of beautiful luxury living quarters. Maya, thank you, Danielle. Thank you. We need Papa Pope. Lord have mercy. Woo. Y'all are funny. All right. I had to stretch these legs, honey. I'll just sit. All right. So Jerome says one way to El Salvador. I don't think that a lot of these people will be going to El Salvador. I think they will be right here in these United States. All right. So we understand habeas corpus. We get why we talked about that. Let's move on. See, 11:36. So we're about an hour in. That was good. All right. So it is week 13. And I want to get into a couple of things with you. I think I want to talk and I owe y'all a PowerPoint. I forgot about that. I'll get y'all PowerPoint out in my next email. I owe you a PowerPoint. But let's talk about foreign affairs, right? Foreign affairs and our global reach as a nation, how our government interacts globally, right? And I don't want to be political. I don't want to talk about anything political. I just want to talk about in general, okay? That's going to be my attempt. So, globally, foreign affairs, one thing that I want you to look at is the United Nations, okay? I want you to look at the United Nations. Yes, and Demi, you own it, girl. You own it, sugar. Demi says El Salvador trying to push back on receiving folks from the United States because the United Nations is on that ass. Oh, excuse me. United Nations is on them, right? So the United Nations. I want you to look at the United Nations. The United Nations is a global body, right? It's a global body of governments, right? So governments from around the globe, around the world, are members of the United Nations, thus the name. The United Nations was actually formed in 1940 something. I should know this off the top of my head, but I can't think of it right now. Let's see. Let me pull up my notes. All right. The United Nations, here we go, was created in 1945. Okay. Created in 1945 in San Francisco, California. All right. So on the West Coast, there are 193 nations that are a part of the United Nations. 193 nations are a part of the United Nations. All right. 193 nations are a part of the United Nations. Their website is un.org. un.org. That is the United Nations website. So the United Nations was formed as World War II was ending and nations were in ruins. Okay. Nations were toe up. And people around the globe wanted peace. Peace. In the 90s, folks used to say peace in the Middle East. People wanted peace everywhere. Okay. After World War II. Representatives of 50 countries gathered at the United Nations Conference on International Organization in San Francisco, California, from April 25th, so about 2 weeks ago, would be the anniversary, to June 26th. So for 2 months, people gathered in San Francisco at this conference in 1945. So 80 years ago. 80 years ago. 80 years ago this took place. All right. So the United Nations is 80 years old. That's some of our parents. For some of you, it's your grandparents. Maybe even some of you great-grandparents. I don't know how old y'all are. But 80 years ago, the United Nations was formed. So 80 years ago, nations from around the world were in San Francisco working on documentation and structuring out a plan of how the governments collectively of the world would check others to prevent another world war. Clearly, it was like, we can't take no more of this, but also to give some type of balance, some checks on, hey, bruh, y'all can't be treating people like that. Y'all can't be doing that over there. We're going to get involved if y'all over there doing some old BS, non-humanitarianly. All right. So a big part of it is about being about humanitarianism, not fully, but yes, thank you, Demi, holding accountable. All right. So I want you all to look at the United Nations again. I'm going to give y'all a PowerPoint. I'm gonna have to create one, and I might go a little bit more in depth than what I use in my 9 to 5, or I might go a little bit more general. I don't know. So the United Nations has some world powers, and I'm going to talk about them. So it started off with 50 countries. It has grown to how many? 193. All right. It has grown to 193 countries. All right. And yes, Demi, you're right. It protects the smaller nations from the larger ones from being bullies sometimes. Okay. It is represented in films. You see it in Civil War, the movie. You see it in Black Panther, in Wakanda Forever. That's one of my favorite scenes from the Black Panther family of films. One of my favorite scenes is when Queen Ramonda goes to the United Nations and checks France. Baby, chef's kiss. But it's the one place where all the world's nations can come together to discuss common problems and find shared solutions that benefit all humanity. Now, we're going to talk about world powers. But before I talk about world powers, I'm going to talk about five countries that have heavy power in the United Nations. All right. 5 nations. Grace, who are you talking about? Are you talking about the World Health Organization? Because we're not talking about that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the United Nations. All right. In our foreign policy PowerPoint, I will talk about who, but we're talking about just strictly UN right now. All right. And I'm just sharing so we can all stay on the same focal point. All right. So China, France, Russia, the UK, and the United States. All right. Those 5 nations. All right. Those 5 nations have permanent, meaning always and forever. We locked in permanent veto power on the United Nations Security Council. So the United Nations Security Council is exactly what it sounds like. All right. And so then you have 5 countries that have permanent veto power. So if the United Nations Security Council makes a decision to do X, Y, and Z, and one of those 5 vetoes it. Okay. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down? All right. Grace, do you have a question? Or are you just sharing while I'm sharing? I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm slowing down so I can read comments. I apologize to y'all on YouTube. I'm slowing down so I can read comments on TikTok. Trying to figure out, is someone just excited to be in class or is somebody trolling? I think she's just excited to be in class. So I'm gonna let her be great right now. Could Demi, can you check that out for me, please? And then tell me. Oh, okay. Thank you, Grace. Yeah, it's a class. So I'm just trying to check, like, are you trolling? Are you serious? You welcome to stay. I love the information, but I want to keep the focus. All right. And thank you for bringing up the who, but not the who, but who will be included in our class PowerPoint that will be shared with the class. But right now, we're not talking about who. We're talking about the United Nations, specifically the 5 world powers. So those 5 nations that I just named, Russia, France, China, UK, and United States, United Kingdom and United States, they have permanent veto power on the UN Security Council. All right. The big 5. So those 5, don't get them confused. So those 5 that I just named have world powers. I mean, they have permanent veto power on the UN Security Council. These 5, some of which overlap, these 5 are the 5 world powers. All right. So the first 5 are those who have permanent veto power. That's China, France, Russia, United Kingdom, United States. Okay. 5 world powers, meaning the strongest in the world, are the United States of America, China, Russia, Germany, United Kingdom. That's strong in power, influence, fear, land amassment, all of that. Okay. Those are the 5: the United States, China, Russia, Germany, and the United Kingdom. Other world powers: South Korea, Japan, France, Israel, and the United Arab Emirates. Okay. Everybody got that? I know I'm going fast. A good thing, always good to look at whether we on good terms or bad terms, or we ain't doing terms, we just coexisting, is to look at the relationship between the United States and China. Okay. Lily, which one you want me to repeat? And then I'm gonna go into China and the United States. I think I'll just repeat them all. So the big 5 world powers, the big 5 honchos, so to speak, are the United Kingdom, Germany, Russia, China, and the United States. Okay. The UK, Germany, Russia, China, and the United States. Got it? All right, perfect. All right, so let's look at US and China relations. So we have a complex situationship. We have a toxic relationship. Sometimes we're on good terms, sometimes we're on decent terms. We always on some kind of terms. We go together real bad. Real bad, sometimes good, real bad, sometimes just real bad. Okay? We go together, us and China. All right. The United States and China have one of the world's most important and complex bilateral relationships. Since 1949, the countries have experienced periods of both tension and cooperation over issues including trade, climate change, and our favorite place to bully each other over and to bully and to know that we're going to get things made there, Taiwan. Okay. So, trade, climate change, and Taiwan are always three big issues shared between the US and China. All right. Trade, climate change, and Taiwan. All right. You can call it TTCC, trade, Taiwan, climate change. But those are always things that we're dealing with when it comes to one another. Today, our relationship is we go together, but we are toxic towards one another. We are the pettiest we've ever been. And everybody see us just carrying on in public, acting a damn fool. But we stuck in this thing together. And we don't like each other at all, but we need one another. It's so toxic. And yes, I act like this all the time, like, because you got to be animated about what's going on, or otherwise you'd be stressed. All right. And so we are wrestling with one another. We're being super petty towards one another. In fact, China's so sassy. China, like, we might go together, but this is my side piece over here, and I'm going to stick beside him. So, like, recently, I can't think of his name. What is the leader of China? Y'all know who I'm talking about. But he was standing behind Putin just the other day as Putin was directing his huge, massive military parade. Baby, that's some sass for your ass. Xi Jinping, thank you. Yes. Was standing behind Putin during the parade, the huge, massive military parade. I don't know if y'all seen it. I don't even know if they showed that on mainstream media, but that was a parade that I would never want to see because that's some scary that they was displaying. All right. Meanwhile, while they're standing by one another, right? Meanwhile, the war is still happening in Ukraine. My. All right. So we are in a fight. We are in a tizzy with one another. United States and China. We are wrestling over trade through tariffs. And we have been the pettiest when it comes to these tariffs. And I need them to stop playing because I have needs. Needs, you know what I'm saying? And you're messing with them. I need y'all to get this together. Figure it out, damn it. Do it for the kids. Grow up. Stop acting foolish. Okay. So when we look at China and the United States relationship over the past 75 years, it has teetered and totted. You know, sometimes we're kind of unified. We're like semi holding hands, like one of those couples that you know that they really don't hold hands when they're on TV and they look really uncomfortable. Okay. They don't really hold hands, but they semi hold hands. But usually they're like this, China and the United States, or like this towards one another, right? And that has been ongoing for 75 years. The issue over Taiwan thinks that it's independent. China tells Taiwan, no, you're not. You're mine. You belong to me, little one. And Taiwan is like, no, I don't. So the United States is like, no, they don't. Leave them alone. So that's another issue that this couple, the United States and China, struggle with. Okay. This making sense? All right, if I'm being too ridiculous, just stop and say, okay, that's enough, Professor. All right. I'm trying to keep y'all awake because this is not the most exciting stuff to talk about. All right, so let's talk about allies. Let's pivot. Let's talk about allies. Who are the allies of the United States? Do we have a name for our allies? And we do. We do. Our official allies. All right, our official allies. Who are our allies? Some people want to join. It's like a sorority or a fraternity, like membership. You got to have your membership. Everybody can't be a member, right? And the answer is that the award goes to Nicole. Yes, Nicole. NATO. NATO. That's where the homies are. That's our allies. NATO. All right. NATO. Uh-oh. What did I do? Okay. So NATO was formed in 1949. Okay. NATO was formed in 1949. How long I said our beef with Abu been going on? Abu, who we don't really like, but we go together because we need something from them, and they go with us because they need something from us. And plus, is to keep an eye on one another up close. We've been beefing for 75 years. NATO's been around for 75 years. So when we started our beef with China and going with China, because we really been beefing with them long before that, but we'll just look at 1949. I don't want to go too deep into history, but since 1949, we've been beefing with China in a major way over TTCC. All right, trade, Taiwan, and climate change. But also in 1949, 75 years ago, NATO was founded. All right. And it was founded by the United States of America. NATO was founded by the United States. And so there are 51 NATO nations. The two most recent ones are Sweden and Finland. Those are the two most recent to join NATO. They joined in 22 and 23 or 23 and 24. One of y'all can look that up, okay? When Finland and Sweden joined. But the first group were included Belgium, and y'all don't have to write this down, I'm just sharing it, okay? The first group, so the earliest members of NATO were Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, and the United Kingdom. The second round, or the second line, that was the first. Those were the founders. Here go the first line. The first line was Greece and Turkey. All right, they had an intake of 2. Then next you got Germany. So between 1955 and 1982, there were no new members of NATO. So from 1955, after Germany, that was it. 1955. Okay. So they had 2 lines. They had the 52, and then they had the 55. And the 55 was just Germany. 52 was Greece and Turkey. Before that, that was all original members. Those are the OGs. Okay. And then from 1982, when Spain joined, to 1999, there were no new members. And then in 1999, 3 more nations joined NATO. And those were the Czech Republic, Hungary, and Poland. And then again in 2004, there were several who joined. This is the biggest line. This is the biggest new group of nations that joined NATO. Happened in 2004. Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia. And then in 2009, we get Croatia. 2017, we get Montenegro. And 2020, we get North Macedonia. All right. And just here recently, in the last couple of years, Finland and Sweden have joined. Those are the members of the of NATO, and those are our allies. Okay. All right. So we talked about allies. Let's talk about adversaries. Adversaries, these are our biggest haters. And sometimes the ones who are your biggest haters, they right there in their family. All right. Because of course we got to talk about Abu China. China's our boo, but we really don't like each other. We just toxic towards one another. We've been together so long. We just in it. Cause if one of us go crazy, everybody gonna get hurt. All right. So I'm going to categorize these by continents. All right. Our adversaries. I'm going to categorize adversaries by continents. And then we're going to play a game together. All right. So in Europe, who are our adversaries in Europe? Who's going to guess it first? It's not hard. European adversary, Russia. None of y'all said it, so I'll say it. Russia is our European adversary. In the Middle East and Africa, all right? In Middle East and Africa, there y'all go. Maybe there's a delay. In the Middle East and Africa, who is our adversary? Who's our adversary in the Middle East and Africa? That's kind of that one's a trick question. In Africa, Iran. Thank you, Lily. Iran is our adversary in the Middle East and Africa, and I wrote it that way on purpose because the Middle East used to be Africa on old maps when I was a little girl in the 80s. But anyway, Asia. Who are our adversaries in Asia? No, user 743. Every country in Africa is not our adversary. Who's our adversary in Asia? Disliking somebody or not fooling with them does not make them an adversary. Who is our adversary in Asia? We got one, North Korea. What's the other one? It's not hard. We've been talking about it. North Korea and China, right? Those are our adversaries, all right? Now, here's the question. Here's the activity, all right? Identify the two adversaries of the United States of America that are in the Americas. All right. What are the two adversarial nations in the Americas to the United States of America? Who can name the two? One of them should be super obvious. Just think Cold War. Venezuela is correct. User 743. That's one. And Courtney got them both, Cuba and Venezuela. Nicole got it, Cuba. Cuba and Venezuela are the answers, not Mexico, not Canada. Those are not our adversaries. Those are our very close siblings here in North America who just don't let us just do what we want to do to them. They don't let us just treat them any kind of way. They talk back too, but they're not our adversaries. Mexico and Canada are not our adversaries. Nicole, I'm not claiming it. But Cuba and Venezuela are adversaries, the two adversarial nations towards the United States that are located in the Americas. I know a lot of y'all don't think of any other place as being a part of America. You just see the United States, but all the many nations, over 20 of them, that are located in the Western Hemisphere, not just the Western, but in the Americas, North America and South America, and all islands and nations in between are the Americas. All right. Y'all don't say that. Don't say that. I'm not going to even repeat what y'all saying. All right. Next. Y'all ready? How many of y'all listen to hip hop? Like for real, like Southern hip hop or rap music. So I know if I can make this joke or not. Well, next I want to talk about bricks. No, I ain't gonna make it, Nicole. I was about to sing some Gucci Mane, but I'm gonna let y'all make it. All right. But bricks, no K. Gucci Man bricks got a K in it. All white bricks, off white bricks. Light tan bricks, bricks. But no, we're talking about bricks, BRICS, bricks, not Gucci Man's, but bricks, BRICS. If I would have made that joke in class, it would have went over all my students' heads. I'm glad I could make it with y'all. I always say it in my head though. I always say it in my head. But bricks, um, BRICS is an organization made up of several nations. And so we're going to talk about BRICS today because BRICS is going to or has somewhat impacted us when we look at foreign policy, right, as a nation. And that's what we're talking about right now. When we look at BRICS, BRICS is a threat, seemingly, right? Seemingly, BRICS is a threat to our economy. And we're going to talk about that, okay? Yes, Jerome, you're absolutely right. And thank you, Jazz, for putting it in the chat. BRICS, all right? What is BRICS? Okay. BRICS was started in 2009 and it consists of Brazil, Russia, India, Iran. Oh, fuck. I can't remember the I. China and South Africa. All right. Those 5 nations are the nucleus of BRICS. Okay. But initially it was India. I just wanted to get that first I out. I think the first I was the first of those 2 to join BRICS was India. I'm not sure, one of y'all can check and see. It's either Iran or India, but they're both members now. Okay. Thank you, Courtney. Okay. Yeah. India was is the I in the name. Okay. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Iran is a member. There are many nations that have now joined BRICS, including Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, and the UAE. Okay. Now, if you paid attention to me earlier, you heard me talk about the UAE previously, right? And so the UAE is a world power. It's one of the other world powers. So there are 10 big powers, and the UAE is a part of that bottom 5, right? The top 5 world powers includes two others that are also in BRICS, China and Russia. And then when we look at the veto power in the UN, how many of those are a part of BRICS? 2 again, China and Russia. Okay. So we have these organizations, we have these global organizations, and although in one sense they're kind of working together, United Nations, right? But in these offshoots, these other orgs, they not working in any cohesive. They're actually working in opposition. So when you look at BRICS and how its relation to the West and its relationship specifically, not when people think of the West, when that's stated in political terms, it's talking about predominantly white nations or predominantly European or European descent nations and the United States, because the United States is not a white nation. The United States is freaking melting pot. But it's talking about Europe and the United States. When people speak of the West, they're not thinking about Brazil, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, none of that. just put that out there right quick. But it's important to see how world powers wield their power in various pockets with various groups. Okay. So, in the same way that the United States started NATO, right? Basically, China and Russia have started BRICS along with those other three countries: Brazil, India, and South Africa. Okay. So, I told you when it was formed. We talked about what nations are in it. There are many nations that are wanting to be a part of BRICS. And this is interesting and somewhat scary, right? There are many nations looking to join BRICS. So, for an activity or for homework in your email, I'm going to put something in there for you on BRICS, and I welcome you to go read and search and learn, because I don't want to belabor here. But you're going to be looking at what nations are looking to join BRICS. You're going to look at why BRICS was even formed, and you're going to look at how would a BRICS currency impact the United States dollar? How would that impact our economy? Lily says, how do I join to get the email? Lily, on my page here on TikTok, go to the YouTube link. It will take you to Pretty Petty Politics. When you get there, under the description, there's a Google form. Complete that Google form. Make sure your email is accurate. And then I will send you an email. Not instantly, but an email will be sent to you with the information for the course, including our documentaries, our course sources, course resources, and this activity. So do it today. That way you'll be included when I do the follow-up email for today's class. All right. And thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying you and your contributions to the class. Grace, if you're still on here, please make sure that you sign up as well. And anyone else, if it's your first time, follow those same instructions and please join us. We also have a book club. If you're interested in joining that, shoot me an email saying count me in, and I will send that to you along with when our book club will meet again. We met, what's today? Saturday? Friday. Saturday. Today's Saturday. We met Thursday, and so you'll get an email so that you can be caught up and know what to do for the next one. All right. So let's go on. So how do we as a nation interact with other nations? So when we look at our foreign policy, what operatively, how do we operate globally? Like, who is our voice globally? Who's out there speaking on behalf of the nation, making deals, making peace, throwing weight around? Who's out there representing us? And so that's what we're going to talk about next. Who's out there protecting us? Okay. So I love a good TV drama series. I really do. And so one of my favorites is Madam Secretary. All right. With what's her name? Lee. Oh, I can't think of her name. But anyway, Madam Secretary is no longer on television. It is on Netflix. It might be off now. It had been on Netflix for a long time. I don't know if they still have it. T. Leone, that's her name. T. Leone. I was mixing her name up. T. Leone she portrays the Secretary of State on the series Madam Secretary. So if you have time to binge watch something or to pick up a new series, that's one that I would recommend. As a professor, it does help with just general understanding. It's dramatized, definitely. And so it's fictional in many instances, but it still demonstrates the role of the Secretary of State. So Secretary of State is Department of State. The Department of State is the oldest federal agency in the United States. Okay, the Department of State is the oldest agency of the federal government in the United States, the State Department. The head of the State Department their title is Secretary of State. Throughout the world, in various nations, we have what we call U.S. embassies. U.S. embassies are led by embassy staff or State Department staff, and they are ran by or led by ambassadors, right? So ambassadors and State Department leaders work in our embassies around the world, and one of their main functions is diplomacy, because that's one of the main functions of the State Department. But in an embassy situation, and also for travel purposes, embassies and State Department helps U.S. citizens when they are abroad. So let's say you're traveling in a foreign country, something happens, you need help, you lose your passport, you're having an emergency, whatever, you would find the nearest U.S. embassy to get help. U.S. embassies fall under the Department of State. The Department of State is led by the Secretary of State. Yes, Valerie, Secretary of State. All right. Oh, I was about to tap my screen, Demi. I'm like, tap my screen. Yes, please tap y'all screens. Thank you, Demi. So Secretary of State, all those things fall under the State Department. All right. The State Department, the mission of the State Department is to protect and promote U.S. security, prosperity, and democratic values, and to shape an international environment in which all U.S. citizens can thrive. Okay, that is the State Department. The State Department's website is state.gov. Don't you leave this country, don't leave these United States of America traveling abroad and not have that website stored on you somewhere, whether in a device, in a notebook, on a sheet of paper, in your Bible, because if something happens, you need to know that you can get in touch with the State Department. If you're going to a nation, make sure before you go, you identify where the nearest embassy is to where you will be staying. That is important. You also want to check the State Department's website before traveling to make sure the place that you're traveling is not under any type of threat, whether health or security related. You can find that information through the State Department. Okay. The U.S. Department of State, again, is the oldest agency in the United States. They have many functions. Okay. They do passports, they do visas. We're hearing a lot about visas. So recently I read somewhere about Mexico charging people from the United States will no longer just be able to just fly to Mexico and just willy-nilly get off the plane like they just flew to a state, like another state. You know, there will be some taxation assessed on those persons, non-citizens of Mexico visiting from the United States. They will be assessed. Someone's like, well, we need to do the same thing. We do. They're called visas. We have visas. Many countries use visas, and they're not free. You know, generally they have a cost to them. Travel visas. Another benefit, yes, Valerie's put it in there. Another reason to be knowledgeable of the State Department is because they will notify you of any issues happening in a country that you are visiting. Sometimes when people travel, they visit multiple countries at once. So don't just get the embassy in one country. You need to know for each and every one. All right. If you live in a major United States city, you will see embassies of other nations around your city. Like in Houston, there are embassies and embassy-owned properties around the city. There's an India property not far from where I am. There's a Chinese consulate. There is a Mexican consulate. There are various embassies. There's Nigerian, there's Saudi Arabian, like all over. Same thing in, say, if you are in New York or definitely in DC, there's Embassy Road. So beautiful. I love going to Embassy Road. All right. So just know that these things, the same way There are embassies for the United States globally. There are embassies here in the United States for other nations as well. Keisha says, where do I sign up? So to sign up for the class, you're already on YouTube. So just go to the description for Pretty Petty Politics on our page here on YouTube. And there's a Google form. Click that link, fill it out. Make sure your email is super accurate. And that's how you sign up. And when I send out the email, you will be included in that and you will receive all of the information. That's one reason why those of you who already get emails, you're like, she puts so much of the same stuff, is because I'm always adding people. And so I don't want to leave out the general information that everyone needs. All right. So that's how you sign up, Keisha. I'm not in DC, but I visit the DMV a lot, Lily. I used to live in Virginia, in Northern Virginia, but I love visiting Embassy Row there. So yes, and I love DC. It's one of my favorite areas in the country is the DMV. All right. So State Department, the functions of the State Department, the main functions, right? The main functions are, again, to protect and promote the United States security, prosperity, democratic values, and shape an international environment where all U.S. citizens can thrive. So whether you're a U.S. citizen in the United States or U.S. citizen abroad, okay? All right, perfect. Now, let's look at another agency, the United States Defense Department, all right? The Department of Defense is our nation's largest government agency, okay? It's our largest agency, with our military tracing its roots pre-Revolutionary War, right? The department has grown and evolved with our nation. Our mission is to provide the military forces needed to deter war and to ensure our nation's security, okay? The Defense Department's website is defense.gov. Defense.gov. All right, so our leadership. We know who the leaders are, yes or no? If not, I'm going to tell you anyway. So the President of the United States, our 45th and 7th president, right? 45th and 47th president is President Donald J. Trump. Our Vice President is James Vance, or J.D. Vance. The Secretary of State, as well as National Security Council Director, because he just took on that role like a week ago or earlier this week. But nevertheless, it's Marco Rubio, former U.S. Senator from Florida. And our Secretary of Defense is Pete Hegseth, former Fox News anchor. But Pete Hegseth is Secretary of Defense, all right? So if you want to understand the role of the Secretary of State, again, you can watch that show, Secretary of State. It does a great job illustrating the responsibilities and the types of things that arise that the Secretary of State's office, meaning the department itself, facilitates, okay? So Secretary of State. All right, that is it. Any questions? So, I want to talk one more thing before we leave. So we covered our current event. We've covered foreign policy very lightly. And we're coming on to 2 hours, so I'm going to wrap it up with this. We have 2 more classes remaining, and then we have week 16. Do y'all want a final exam? Because I need to mentally prepare for that. I'm waiting on y'all to respond. But we have 2 more weeks. And in these last 2 weeks, I really want to do a deep dive review on the things that we've discussed. So please bring your questions or email me your questions in advance of the next class so that, Courtney, it would definitely be automated. If I make it, it's going to be automated. So you'll get it'll be something that I don't have to sit there and grade. But Yeah. So for exam purposes, thank you. Courtney understands. She understands, honey. Um, Damn, Jerome, that is a lot. Marco Rubio is now serving as Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, U.S. Archivist, and head of U.S. AID. Are you serious? I didn't know about the last one. Okay. Nicole said she'd be a no-show for the final. Baby, I feel you. I want to be a no-show too. So we won't have no final. That was real easy. Thank y'all. But we will do a review. I can create one and that you can do on your own and just try to make it automated so you'll see like right or wrong. I just think it's good for us to stay sharp on things. I think that this semester that we've created here, this course, and we'll have another semester in the fall. It's already been asked. I've already agreed. But as we move forward with this semester, I just want to make sure that you're grasping these general things, this general information. Over the past now 12 weeks, today's week 13's class. I just want to make sure that it's making sense to you so that you can, when you see it happening or hear it happening, you know the application. You understand how to process it. You understand how to go to the Constitution to understand whether or not it's constitutional or not. You know how to look to the courts, the federal courts, and you're hearing things out of the federal courts that are like pushbacks to the federal government, meaning from the U.S. Supreme Court specifically, with Chief Justice John Roberts making a very bold and like defining statement just several days ago. And as well, as much as it was a statement to the executive branch, it was also a statement to the lower courts, like, we're united in this together, fellow courts. So don't fold. That's what I took from John Roberts. So I want you to take some time to look at, take a moment after class, like immediately after this live ends, take a moment to go see what Justice John Roberts stated just a few days ago. Go listen to what he said, and you decide for yourself what his messaging was and who it was to. For me, what I heard him say was, executive branch, you don't make the law, we do. We evaluate the law and we determine if something is constitutional and it or not. And if it's unconstitutional, we have the power to stop you. And lower courts, we stand together. But that's my interpretation. I want you to go hear it for yourself. I never want to impose my beliefs on you to the point where you don't think for yourself. All right. If I impose my opinions, I want you to at least to have the decency to go see, well, what is her opinion rooted in? All right. And when people make bold opinions and have statements or say, especially when they say make statements as though it's facts, ask them for receipts. Okay. Because y'all know my receipts gonna always come with either something from the Constitution or some court case. Because baby, the law is the law and it has no feelings at all. All right. So Lily said she just joined, so she'd fail. You might not fail, Lily. Some of this stuff for some people is just a refresher, and then for some folks it's new. But I'm gonna create something and let it be like a review or something for you to use like as a study guide so you can stay fresh. I'll also be sending the citizenship tests so you can play with it and share it with your families, because you'll be surprised what most U.S. citizens don't know, that people who come to this country seeking citizenship have to take this exam and pass it. And so they know more about the United States from that standpoint than many of our citizens do. So I'm going to also send that to you. Okay. Yes, Valerie, several rulings have come out, some that have impacted gerrymandering, particularly in Alabama. Okay. VJ, I think you're asking, when will we have an exam? Don't take it as an exam like it's a grade, because baby, who gonna fail you? Who transcript is going on? Who gonna see it? Right? It's just for you. It's just for you to use to sharpen your understanding of the Constitution and the way our nation operates or should operate, constitutionality of things. So it's not to be burdensome, but it's actually just like any other exam. It's not meant to be burdensome. It's to show you what you know or you don't know. So if you realize what you don't know, that's an opportunity to go learn those things and to sharpen yourself. But thank you all. Y'all are so silly. I enjoyed you today. Again, if you have not registered for the class, please visit Pretty Petty Politics on YouTube. Under the description, there is a Google form link. Complete that link with an accurate email. And for those of you joining us here on YouTube, you can do the same thing. Those of you who are watching this playback of this recording, you can do the same thing. Register for the class. Please subscribe. All right, please subscribe. I am hoping to have 1,000 subscribers here soon. I think we are just shy of 800. So it shows 797 today. Can I get 3 more? Can we hit 800 today? Can 3 of you right now subscribe to Pretty Petty Politics on YouTube? It don't cost you nothing. It is no impact on you. All it's going to cost you is about 2 or 3 seconds. If you could please go ahead and subscribe and share. Subscribe to the YouTube page and be sure to share from our videos on TikTok, some of our constitutional videos. Please share those. Jerome says the video. Yes, I love Rigged. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. I love sharing that. It's a really good look at voter suppression. So if you're not a member of the class, you haven't registered yet, you're missing out on some really good things that I share. All right. So yes, thank you all so much. Book club reminder for those of you who signed up. Don't put the date in the chat, y'all. I want to keep that in the emails. But our book club reminder, the next meeting will cover chapters 1 through 5. If you're interested, we'll tell you what the book is, 1 through 5. That's not a lot of pages. This might be 100 pages or just over 100 pages, and you got 2 weeks to read them. It's a really good read. The book club is not like some romance novel. It's literally related to the course. So yes. So thank you all. Thank you so much. How do I sign up for the book club? Lily, when you get your email today, just reply back to me, count me in, and then I will know to add you to the book club. So wait for the email that I'm sending you. Okay. Spoutable. Okay. Thank you, Springer. Springer, are you registered for the class? If not, make sure you get registered. And if you could send me that, because I'm not going to remember. All right. Well, I can always play this back and hear it. All right. So hopefully I've answered everyone's questions. All right. So I need 2 more follows, 2 more subscribers on YouTube. Come on, y'all. I don't ask y'all for much. 2 more subscribers on YouTube. Big announcement coming soon. Shout out to the book club for their help. We need 2 more subscribers. Please make sure you subscribe. For those of you who are watching this replay, make sure you subscribe. Pretty Petty Politics was created in 2018 by yours truly, because I had students who called me pretty. One girl was like, "You're a pretty, professor, and you always wear your pretty dresses." And then I called this other student best friend. She and I just clicked day one. And she said, "Yeah, but she petty too." And I just fell out laughing. But guess what? Politics is like that as well. Politics can be pretty, but they also can be petty. So that's how we came to have Pretty Petty Politics. As you visit our platform, you will see we have a show called The Kitchen Cabinet that is different from this, but similar, but it's different. It's where I fuse my love of food and home with politics and talking about social issues, food, culture, and all that stuff. All right. Next week, thank you, Courtney. And thank you, Springer, for that. Next week, will it be the Zoom class or will there also be one for YouTube? So next week, we will have our Zoom. That's Thursday morning, right, Courtney? The Zoom. So if you're registered, here's the thing. You got to be registered, you guys, because we do have a special class coming up on the 15th. That is our Zoom. That is going to be the class. All right. I want to talk. I want to interact. I want to see y'all. So that will be the class. So there will be no YouTube. Well, next Saturday I have a meeting at Links. Maybe Friday. Maybe Friday. Yeah, Zoom is Thursday at 10:30. Zoom will not be streamed. Give me some time to think about that, and then I will decide if we will stream. Maybe on Friday I'll stream. Okay. But right now, Zoom is for Thursday at 10:30. That's in your emails for those of you who are registered. If you're not registered, get registered so you can get the Zoom information for next Thursday at 10:30 a.m. All right. Demi says she's not getting the emails. Do you have my email address, Demi? Because if you have my email address, email me. Let me know. All right. So after the Zoom, we have the 22nd, and I don't know if we do the 29th. What day is Labor Day? The 26th? Not Labor Day, Memorial Day. Let me read this. Okay, so we'll do the 29th then. Did you send the email out for the Zoom class? Yes. The email went out Thursday morning at 11:03 Central Standard Time. So it's a March 8th email. And after the class schedule, it tells you if you'd like to join a limited space Zoom special, please complete the registration link. And it's blue. It's an actual live link. You click that and register for the May 15th class. And right now there are no classes planned for June. Y'all got to give me a summer break, right? There are no classes planned for June. Plus I'm teaching summer school. But if something comes up and there will be Supreme Court decisions made, there will be some lives during June, but they won't be scheduled. They will be announced and then I'm going live. So I might announce I'm going live. I might send an email. So make sure you're subscribed. See, that's the thing about being subscribed to YouTube, because then you get the alert that I've gone live and you can just jump in. Because when those Supreme Court decisions come out, they usually come out between May and June, sometimes early July, but typically May and June, primarily in June. And so we will have lives talking about the latest Supreme Court decisions. That will be the biggest part of June. And maybe one other one. All right. Libra Lady Blessing. How do I know if I am registered? Demi, I can't believe you're not registered. So on YouTube, when you complete that Google form, maybe Demi, what happened was you completed the Google form, but you did not spell, maybe you made a mistake when you entered your email address. So Demi, shoot me an inbox here on TikTok and send me your email address and I'll update it. Everyone else register for the class. Demi, I'm pretty sure now that I think about it, you might be one of those persons whose email address bounced back. But Libra Lady, you can go to YouTube, click the description. There's a Google form, complete that Google form, make sure your email is accurate, and then you will be registered. And then I will send you an email with all the resources and materials for the class. All right. Y'all, this has been well attended. This has been a great class, 2 strong hours. We got our current event on habeas corpus, and then we went through foreign policy surfacely. We went over some things related to foreign policy in a very general manner, but still substantively enough that it can be assistive to you as you navigate life and you hear things and see things that are happening globally. It gives you a better understanding of the relationships. Pay attention to what's happening in Africa. When you have time, watch a little bit of C-SPAN. Don't wait for these little viral clips on social media. Go ahead and watch C-SPAN for yourself. It's free. It's free. It's free to access. All right. And make sure, again, y'all know I do this commercial ever softer. Make sure you're supporting your local public media network. That's your NPR and PBS station. Is usually one and the same. So make sure you're supporting your local public media organization. You can go to PBS online to find your local station. All it's going to do is ask you, for like the zip code or what have you, and put that in and just donate. Go ahead and put it on auto pay. Put $5 in. Y'all, that's a cup of coffee from Starbucks. But just put $5 on it a month. And that $5, that's $60 at end of year. A bunch of those, they add up. And it also not only are you impacting public media and supporting them, but you're also opening or unlocking a door so that you have access to things that PBS has on their platforms that are very helpful, such as documentaries that are amazing, that are not airing anymore, but they are available through membership. So that little $5 unlocks that key. But you are helping media be in homes. A lot of us grew up on Sesame Street. Federal fundings being pulled back from public media. In many more rural areas, they depend on that federal funding, whereas in more urban areas, they get local support through donations. So by giving to PBS directly, then they can disseminate or distribute those fundings to the places that need it most. So I'm a PBS girl. I grew up on it. NPR is on in my car every day. I had an NPR app. So when something good on the radio and I'm getting out the car, I can continue on the app. As I go about my day till I get back to the car, I can still be listening to whatever that good thing is. So I believe in that and I want you to support it. And lastly, before we go, because I have to talk about myself, I'm getting better at it and I thank y'all for it. I am the author of a collection of recipes called Not by Bread Alone. Please visit my website or visit Amazon to order a book today. You can order the ebook from me directly from my website. If you want a physical copy, you can order it from Amazon and it will ship directly to you, because trust me, you do not want me to ship it to you. But if you insist on me shipping it to you, you can order that from me directly going to my website. Let's see. Somebody put my website in the chat for me. Courtney, can you put it on the TikTok chat for me? But if you want to order a copy directly from me, you can order from my website. If you want to order it from Amazon, that works too. If you order from me directly, I will sign it. If you order the ebook, I will email it to you within 12 hours of you ordering it, because sometimes I'll be asleep when y'all order it. So when I wake up, I'll send it to you. All right. Demi, what you say you want to get on your soapbox about? And I'm going to make sure we get you registered. All right. I think that's it. I don't think we hit our 800 today, but no, we didn't. We need 2 more. Oh, about PBS. All right. So hopefully we'll hit that 800 soon. But thank you all. It's been real. Bye-bye. Bye, YouTube.